Welcome to this lesson on radios and goggles and what to buy. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can buy a radio first, right now, and get started right away with some practice in Velocidrone, as you can see here on my screen. I'm going to recommend some radios and goggles for you here based on what's currently popular on the market and what I consider to be good. Bear in mind, as I said, these are the two most expensive purchases you're going to make in FPV, especially the goggles, so it's really important that you make good choices, as these are going to last you for a long time and are one-off purchases for the most part. All of the products recommended here, and anywhere in the course for that matter, are current and are listed in the shopping section of the course. And there are links to products in the US, Australia and UK where possible. However, all the prices you'll see here in this lesson on my screen are in US dollars. And just a quick disclaimer here that any Amazon links in the course shopping list are affiliate links for which I get a small commission at no additional cost to you. You'd be doing me a favor if you like this course by clicking on the affiliate links, but of course there's no obligation to do that. So let's first take a look at radios. Now, if you're a gamer who has used something like an Xbox or PlayStation controller, chances are you might be what's called a thumber. And you basically, as you can see here in the picture on the left, you control the sticks with your thumbs. But you might also be a pincher, as I am, and like to actually hold the sticks in your fingers, as you can see on the right here. You may not know this as yet until you actually start using a controller if you haven't used one at all. But this is going to be a deciding factor in which radio you're going to want to buy, because there are smaller radios for FPV that suit thumbers and generally somewhat larger radios that suit pinchers. You can actually, the radio here, which is a thumber, is actually quite a big one, but generally nowadays they're a bit smaller. Now, I'm a pincher and I've been using a Taranis QX7S, which I'll show you here. Not that one there. Okay, and I've been using this for years and I've been really happy with it. And another popular radio has been the X9D. Both of these are made by FrSky, by the way. And I'm not going to dwell on these too much because I'm going to recommend that you go for something more current than this. These have been on the market for quite a while. I also have the X-Lite Pro, which is also a FrSky radio. And I use this on a sim because I can actually, even though it's a thumber, it's a smaller radio, but I can sit it on a desk and I can still use it as a pincher. But I can't use this smaller radio in the field because it's too small to actually hold and pinch the sticks, because it's designed as a thumber, just like an Xbox controller. And I can tell you that lots of people have made this mistake, buying a smaller radio that's designed for thumbers, and they end up not liking it. So it's really important for you to decide which style you think suits you best. Go and try a radio from a local store, even an Xbox or PlayStation, and see if you can hold it in your hands and pinch it if you think you're a pincher. But anyway, I wouldn't recommend any of these radios as there are newer and better ones on the market. And please don't be tempted to try to start flying in an FPV simulator with an Xbox or PlayStation controller. It has to be a proper RC radio because the sticks are not the same. The main difference is that the stick on the left here, which controls the throttle up and down, is in FPV is not spring loaded, whereas it is in PlayStations and Xbox controllers. And you need to be able to control your throttle really precisely and not have it bounce back to another position, as in a spring-loaded stick like this. So as we move more into learning to fly, you'll understand the importance of throttle control and having complete control of it without any interference, such as a spring-loaded stick. I know this sounds pretty obvious, but I can guarantee that there are many who have tried this and it's definitely ended in tears. So of course there are a wide variety of controllers on the market, and technology is changing really fast, as with all technology, but most of them use an open source software called OpenTX. As we can see here, this is the main site for OpenTX, and this is the software that's loaded onto your radio. Now there are newer technologies like EdgeTX and older ones like Spectrum, but I'm going to recommend you that you stick to the standard as a beginner, and for now, which is OpenTX. Okay, as there's heaps of documentation on it and support for the system. Now, whether you're a pincher or a thumber, I recommend a radio that's currently popular on the market, rather than going retro with, with something like what I have, a QX7S or an X9D. Of course you can, it's your choice, but I'm going to show you some that are more popular on the market now. But I'll point out at this stage, and the first one we're going to have a look at is this Radiomaster TX16S. But I will be demonstrating the setup for the radio in the Velocidern simulator and for our quad on the QX7S, my radio that I have. And you'll need to bear in mind that the switch controls will differ for each individual radio, and I can't, obviously I can't demonstrate it on every single radio, but the menu system in OpenTX is basically the same. So if you do decide, and I hope you do, to go with a more contemporary radio, which you should, you'll need to check the user manual and documentation for that radio that you've bought to find out the functions for each switch. And after looking at the user manual, you'll be able to see how to get to the different areas like the radio setup and the inputs and the mixers and so on. But don't worry about this for now, as it'll all become clear when you've been through the radio setup section of the course. So for pinchers, I'm going to recommend this Radiomaster TX16S. It's got, all the information here about it, but the main selling points of this are, number one, the price. It's at a very good price, and bear in mind that this one here, it's about $199 USD just for the radio, but as we're going to be using Crossfire and with any long range receiver link, you're going to need a module, and that's that little module on the left here. This module on the left here is the what's it called? The Micro TX. That one there. Yeah, protocol module. So even at this price, it's still pretty good. Again, I'm going to recommend this, that you get the combo version, as this will work with Crossfire. The TX16S runs OpenTX. It's got a nice big touchscreen, color screen. As I say, works with Crossfire. Need to be careful because it only supports up to 2S LiPos. It works with 18650 batteries as well. But if you use a LiPo, don't use anything more than a 2S. Some people get caught out on that one. Another radio you might want to consider is the Jumper RC T18 Pro V2, which is basically the same but slightly upgraded radio as the Radiomaster TX16S, as we've just seen, and it's sold by this company, Jumper RC. They actually made exactly the same radio as the T16S previously, but that's quite difficult to find now, as they're now selling this T18. And as you can see, this is actually available only on Banggood. If you haven't heard of Banggood, that's a very well-known company based in China that sells a lot of FPV and electronic gear. So supports all radio link protocols like Crossfire and others like Tracer and Ghost and ELRS or Express LRS. But as we're using Crossfire, which is a really good long-range link, and I still recommend that you go with this one, the TX16S. So for thumbers, if you're a thumber, you might want to go for the I'd recommend you go for the TBS Tango 2 Pro. As you can see, well, you should be able to see, this looks like more like a PlayStation style radio or Xbox style, and is made by Team Black Sheep, which is a very reputable company. That's TBS here. And they're one of the pioneers in FPV, and as I say, a very reputable company. Could also go with the Jumper T Pro. I'm not going to show it here, as I won't really recommend this as a beginner. You'd have to really be up for a challenge, as there are some differences from the norm in the switches on the radio. My advice would be to go for this TBS Tango 2, which is widely used in FPV at the moment. And of course there will be, there are loads of other radios, and there's going to be those in the game that have many different types of radios, and some may think that theirs is better or cheaper, but I'm offering this advice based on market research for the most popular products that are currently on the market. So about the company called FreeSky, which I've mentioned, that make the QX7 and the X9D Plus, which I mentioned I still use. And these guys have been actually market leaders in radios, FPV radios, for many years. But going on what I've seen people recommending recently, and in my honest opinion, you're going to be better off with this Radio Master, or the TBS Tango 2 if you are a thumber. There are just more people using these radios now, and although I don't have either of them, you'll find that these are two of the most popular choices at the moment in the FPV market. Of course, this may change, and there might be something else that comes out that's better, but at this stage, this is what I advise you get. So we're talking about the Radio Master TX16S, or for thumbers, the TBS Tango 2 Pro.